Welcome, champions. This is it. We've reached the final set of the final week of the European Challengers Circuit presented to you by Paladins World. My name is Vox, joined by I Hold Shift, and the teams that are about to face off against each other, well, they've been slugging it out for the past few weeks, but you know them well as BasicM and QAZWSX. Now we have the map drafting data coming through for the first two games in this best of five set, so Shift, please take me through what our maps are going to be.
Yeah, not too many surprises here from either team as BasicM elects to ban out Ice Mines first and foremost, which I don't think we've actually seen BasicM play on Ice Mines maybe more than once or twice in these last 4 weeks. And conversely, QAZ, again, taking away Timber Mel, which seems to be their kryptonite more often than not. So it's going to be Serpent Beach first and foremost, BasicM's choice, and then QAZ will elect to go with Frozen Guard. And then as we get over to the picks, again, as we anticipate, Fernando's the first overall draft coming through as it's picked up by BasicM and is responded by taking a Ying and Cassie for QAZ. So once again, we're seeing teams really starting to understand the fact that Fernando plus Ying together is a very dangerous combination. They cannot both go to the same side. So that will be what happens. The rest of the roster for BasicM will consist of that Fernando, as we mentioned, as well as an Adroxus, a Drogos, an Eevee, and actually a Kinessa as well, which is very strange to kind of see. No healer actually being taken up as a dedicated role for BasicM. And then on the flip side, QAZ with the Ying and the Cassie will elect to go with the double front line in Makoa and Barrack, and will round out some AoE damage with Bomb King. I actually really enjoy QAZ's draft right here, especially what they're going up against. Your thoughts, though, Vox, on BasicM not having an actual dedicated healer?
I gotta say, BasicM, this just screams confidence to me right now. They would not be
Yeah.
running a draft without a dedicated healer if they didn't think they could run away with this game. And to their credit, they've done it 3 weeks in a row. They're going to try and do it a fourth time. But QAZ, they might catch them by surprise. They've looked good today. They've had a couple of slip-ups, but they've really played out of their minds, and Love has their Cassie. I mean, that's enough said with regards to that. But I think we're seeing the difference between sort of the mid to top tier teams and the really top tier teams start to come into play with the Eevee pickup right now, which fell out of favor as soon as we saw the cooldown nerf and also the nerf with being unable to blink during Ice Block. And then all of a sudden, Lazy brought it right back in with the wormhole build and the flicker loadout, and that's what we're seeing. So expect big plays coming out of the Eevee on BasicM, because that has rapidly become one of the most devastating picks in the champion circuit so far. The Kinessa, though? Well, that's why you draft the Eevee. Don't give them the counter pick potential. Make sure that if you're
Absolutely.
drafting Kinessa, you take the flanker, which gives her the most trouble and can constantly be on her tail. As a result, with nobody who can close the gap onto this Kinessa, with the exception of Bomb King instantly and maybe Cassie if they get a dodge roll through, there's going to be a free reign on the objective from the high ground for Kinessa, and there will be devastation as a result.
Yeah, the big key for QAZ here is they need to make sure that they're doing a good job of stuttering and staggering when those shields come up, because if you can keep your team safely behind both the shell shield as well as the barricade, you should be able to see the fall off from Kinessa kind of take its toll there. As far as closing distance, you're absolutely right. You're not going to be able to get into the face of that Kinessa, especially with how much extra mobility is on the side of BasicM, who's going for essentially a full-on aggressive, high mobility team here. Fernando has the highest ability tank that we have. Adroxus, again, nether stepping, Drogos in the air, Eevee in and out, and then Kinessa is the only real stationary one there. But again, teleport should allow her to move pretty freely to and from different locations where the team for BasicM seems to be stuttering and staggering around. That being said, QAZ need to make sure that they're investing all of their energy into dominating that front line, not getting breached, and try to punish these little overextensions that might happen from BasicM's mobility. That's really their only saving grace, though, as there's really just not much at all in the form of damage coming out or mobility coming out for QAZ.
I hate to bring it up because I've said it so many times before, but I feel like a lot rests on the Makoa pick for QAZ here. They've got to find those dredge anchors. If they can't find the dredge anchors onto players like Androxus or Eevee, if you find them onto Eevee, that should be a guaranteed kill as long as your team is able to focus them down before they get into Ice Block, or then even once they come out of it. Same thing with Androxus. If they put up a reversal, that's when you pull. Same thing with Drogos. If you can get them out of the air, it's huge. But that's a lot of pressure. The safety net that Ying provides is only going to last so long when they have to be careful careful of the overwatch given by Kinessa, as she will just have complete line of sight over the entire map. So there is a lot riding on just one crowd control ability coming through from the Ancient here. However, conversely, BasicM, they don't have a healer, so at the same time, whilst they have a very aggressive lineup, they're going to have to rely on individual plays, maybe the pickup of healing cards, or healing items such as Kill a Heal or Life Rip, which we've seen some Androxus players start to prioritize more recently, because we're unlikely to see, as a result, any cauterizers coming out on the QAZ side of things. So it's a little bit up in the air shift. It's definitely an off-meta draft, but something which I'm certainly looking forward to. And as we get into Champion Select, let's see if we can pull that up on screen and see who our players today will be. And I'm very excited to say that I'm seeing the return of something which I consider one of the best players on their champion in Paladins right now, and that is robotoxin rocking out on Kinessa.
Yeah, and on a, not exactly the worst map for Kinessa, but not one that we consider her to be a niche pick. That's going to be interesting. We've seen Robotoxin play Carry Toxin a handful of different times with different characters, and this is going to be another situation where we could see Robotoxin possibly have an unforgettable game. And that's going to be the key here, I think, more than anything else, is how much is this Kinessa going to be able to do on her own?
How much is the TheScorpYoN going to be able to do on Eevee as well? You can see the gold border there showing that they haven't really played them in ranked. And the TheScorpYoN notable for a couple of different things in previous competitive play. Bomb King as one, but also healers as of late. So switching on to the Eevee role, it'll be interesting to see how the TheScorpYoN feels in a less supportive role, but still, you've got players like NTBees with the 360 Fireball on Fernando, BOZEY on Androxus, and strutzul on their Drogos, which is just so devastating. But we've seen what QAZ can do as well. You've given Cassie to Love. You've given Freddy Barrack and Muminn and xiuu on Bomb King and Makoa as well. Preyas, this time not running the Totem Grok, but being given full reign of Ying. That's pretty much a comfort pick lineup for all of these players, just as this is relatively comfortable for BasicM as well. So both teams going into this feeling good about their drafts, I would imagine, and it comes down to who can get the upper hand and start to snowball this Kinessa and the Eevee out of control, or whether we're going to see a response properly from the side of QAZ. Champions, welcome to your grand finals of the final 4th week of your European Challengers circuit. My name is Vox, joined by I Hold Shift, and let's break down the teams as we get onto this lovely match in the daytime Serpent Beach. On the left-hand side, fighting out of the blue corner, it will be BasicM. You know them, you love them. They are the favorites and the champions going into this tournament, led by strutzul on Drogos. NTBees follows on the 360 Fireball Fernando. The TheScorpYoN brings up the middle on Eevee. BOZEY eyes the skies on Androxus, and Robotoxin closes things out with a flex Kinessa pick.
And looking to try to get their first victory over BasicM will be QAZWSX. MefedronoweLov playing that stapled Cassie, xiuu playing Makoa, Preyas on Ying, Muminn on the Bomb King, and Freddy looking for more clutch dome shields on the Barrack.
High ground plays coming up from both teams. xiuu running straight into the backline, looks for a shell spin, finds a dredge anchor. No, the shell is just straight up trying to zone. BOZEY gets pulled in, takes a lot of damage, and xiuu takes them down for first blood. Good play from QAZ so far. NTBees being forced back. Their shield is breaking, but watch out on the backside. TheScorpYoN with a double kill, and they're looking to find a triple kill, but they are shut down by Love as they are forced into ice block and are so immobile and at risk in that. But NTBees regenerating, forces out the pressure onto Love as Cassie. Nice disengage, keeps them safe momentarily, and that will be NTBees waiting for the respawns to come through from the team. Freddy eliminates strutzul in mid-air with their shotgun blast. No, the turrets catching them off guard, and as Bees is taken out on the backside, this looks bad for BasicM, and we haven't even seen anything come out of Robotoxin on Kinessa just yet.
I was just about to say the same thing as far as Robotoxin go. He's actually spending most of his time trying to take down turrets that have been keeping him away from this point fight, and he's been able to find hardly any shots at all onto the point itself. Now he's finally getting a window, and you can see how that pays off. 2 kills, or at least participating in 2 kills there. 81% though in favor of the red-sided QAZ team, and without the Fernando coming back to point, there's nobody who can afford to stand on this right now. They're just too squishy with no healer.
Especially with that turret going down, but from the air comes strutzul, from the air comes the TheScorpYoN. The turret is down. Preyas looking for some poke damage, is unable to find anything. The triple nether step from BOZEY will take them straight into the area, and the TheScorpYoN blinks up and down and takes the healer out. And all of a sudden, it's all looking blue here. We have BasicM managing to stabilize. NTBees not on the objective, will now be retreating back to it. Going to be racking up some increased credit score, playing their quote-unquote champion role. But you can bet on your life that they will be forcing out the front line as soon as the aggressive play comes in. xiuu looks to contest the TheScorpYoN in a lot of trouble here. And from behind comes Bomb King, but wait, there's a Dragon Punch.
Yeah, and it takes out xiuu immediately, and I'm actually really questioning why turtle spin your way in there. No need to do that without any of your team being able to support. He just goes right into the Fernando, and Fernando's like, all right, sounds good. I got a Flame Lance for you, and melts it down, and then there's no way for the Makoa to escape. That's a misplay there, as it did get up to 99%. It was almost QAZ's point, but I don't agree with that play there as far as the Makoa goes, and committing to that aggression without having any of your team there to follow it up.
Well, all of a sudden, Shift, we are now on the offensive push for BasicM, and this is where Canessa will start to come into play. Robotoxin consider the back of the map and just snipe away, but as I'm saying that, TheScorpYoN and BOZEY taken down. Love picks up one, dodge rolls forward to the bonus damage, finds the double kill onto Robotoxin right there, and NTBees finds the triple kill, potentially the quadra kill, as NTBees being brought very low. No, yes, finds the quadra kill. Scorpion punishes Muminn as a result, but still, 4 quick kills for Love. This Cassie player supreme on the side of QAZ, holding their team down, allowing this defense to be successful so far.
Yeah, and what a great play to just to commit to go straight in for that Canessa. No worries at all about whatever is in front of you for the blue side of BasicM team. And it was the Cassie and the Bomb King just committing to getting in there, getting in Canessa's face, and then came back and turned around to help out with the team. That's clutch play. That's what you need to do. Again, no healer for the side of BasicM. You just have to out-poke right now. If you're the red sided team for QAZ, you need to just continue to poke, hope that you can find an opportunity to commit like that, and they'll find kills. They absolutely will.
Well, that's a rampage so far, and Love gets the double kill as they snap onto the Scorpion, healed up the illusions. My goodness, somebody shut this Cassie down, because they're certainly going to need it. BasicM cannot make any progress unless they chip them down, but look at this. Love being poked out low, goes around the corner, sits, regenerates the illusions, keeping them at full HP, and then heads off the front line. Watch out, Bees, you could be disengaged into the drink here, but you're safe behind your shield momentarily. Down comes the Ice Storm. It's going to zone out too right there, but the Scorpion's going to be in a lot of trouble. Must disengage from the objective play. Blinks in, blinks straight back out again, being very tricky, and potentially this is what BasicM are looking for, an opportunity to start this push up for real.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same point, Cassie's still very healthy. Oh, not anymore. Took a snipe right there to the kneecap as it gets him down to just 31 HP. And BasicM will find the opportunity, finding picks and finding a lot of burst damage to get this payload moved up. And now there's an opportunity, but a good pull here onto Scorp. And Scorpion will fall. The Andro's right here as well, but not in exactly a great spot as his BOZEY's getting focused as well. Another nice pull. And xiuu is now starting to play up. Even though strutzul finds the double kill, things are evening out right now. Ooh, triple kill there for strutzul on the backside before eventually falling to the Cassie. With 10 seconds left, though, the red team needs to get back on here. If they can find this Fernando kill, they should secure this defense, but it's definitely not out of the fray yet.
Well, the Scorpion's looking for the Cassie. The ice block is there. You got to get the blink here, Scorp, but no, taken down by Freddy's shotgun. And all 5 players back on the objective. NTBees trying to meet up, but off the map. Muminn poppy bombs away. Robotoxin immobile in that scope. And Savage goes Love right now. They find the double kill again. Can they get the triple? No, strutzul will back off to safety. But my goodness, somebody stop them. 16, 3, and 5 as they fall to strutzul at the end of the round. Also taking them out in the process. My God, they have got to be shut down. Love is just keeping their team in it because BasicM so far, they've looked strong, but they cannot deal with this Cassie pressure.
No, and it's really interesting, too, if you get some time to jump on board with how Cassie plays. MefedronoweLov is doing so much work when there's a room to work with. When things are a little more chaotic and the full team is around, whether it's his own or if it's the side of BasicM is all congested and all over the place, there's not a focus on what target is coming in, and there's actually, because of it, a lot of missed shots. But then you get into a one-on-one situation, even a one-on-two situation, and their focus is just too strong. Love is playing absolutely crazy in those one-on-one situations and absolutely able to find clutch shots there. It's just interesting to see when there's freedom for Love to get in and out, how much more effective he then becomes. And that's going to be the case here, as it looks like QAZ is going to try to get up on the high ground and come around the backside, but it's getting shut down right now by the combination of robotoxin and strutzul.
You can't forget about that Dragon Punch either. Makoa already down to that, and with the ultimate advantage actually being in favor of QAZ, they don't use any of them. In fact, maybe they just use one of them. Scout went down for Cassie, but that's it. BasicM blew almost everything on that objective, but they do hold it strong. Now, upwards of 50%, Robotoxin on Canessa starting to come into play, and watch out for the Scorpion blinking up, blinking down, straight onto Cassie, finds the shot, but no, dredged to likely their doom, trying to stay alive inside Ice Block. Can they get the misplay on the Muminn? They'd get the kill, but Muminn also answers back the sticky bomb of their own, and both players go down. Now on the objective, we see the dome shield go down. This could be the retake from QAZ, but watch out, robotoxin still alive on the high ground. No, pulled into danger. That should be the fast elimination. Love punish, however, and without that powerhouse of damage, this is going to be dangerous for QAZ.
Yeah, BOZEY's just been going completely unchecked on the backside hall over here. There's the Ice Storm to help secure this. Even though Scorpion does fall, it is just the two sole players for QAZ in both Muminn and xiuu who are left alive, and Muminn's actually forced to disengage out of that and will be chased down by NTBees, although here comes Love back on the point. xiuu was able to stay alive for long enough, and now the Ying is there too, so this is potential for a retake as all the health pools are getting low, but xiuu does fall. Freddy back into the fray of things. It's going to be a 3-on-3 for a moment, although Love with a double kill on the backside of this fight, able to get 2 is so huge for his team, and the retake will now actually go in favor of QAZ as the Mambo line starts coming in, and they're able to get everybody back onto this point, 80% plus, and this could potentially be a take right now for QAZ.
Shift, I can almost hear the drums going, the conga drums, as we do see, no, not back onto the objective. NTBees a little bit too late, and that's the cap going the way of QAZ. In comes the King Bomb ultimate. There's an immortal used by NTBees to keep the team himself alive, but they're very low on HP. Scorpion will punish Muminn, but in comes Freddy. You gotta respect that shotgun, and you gotta respect the Makoa as well. Love cleans up Scorpion. Strutzul comes in with the Dragon Punch, but was that really necessary in a low HP Makoa? I don't think so, and now NTBees has no backup, with the exception of robotoxin in their ultimate as the payload continues to push, and they're being forced out by Freddy up on the high ground.
Yeah, of all the characters, the Barrack is the one to get all the way up there. You can't let that happen, because that's just not a good spot if turrets are raining down. And again, you can see how strong the double deployable is between Ying illusions and Barrack turrets. There's just so much to deal with for BasicM, and they aren't able to get into the center of the core of this, and that's where this whole no healer comp starts to kind of be their crutch. They're not able to sustain themselves for long enough, while on the flip side, QAZ has so much going for them. Even though they technically are getting outplayed from just overall damage, the fact of the matter is it's so hard to break this front wall of barricade, plus shell shield, plus turrets, plus Ying illusions. It's so much to deal with, and BasicM is finding a hard time finding the prescription to deal with the illness that is this strong front line.
It's the illness? Are you kidding me?
Just
it's
go
the
with
ill
me,
combination. I'm guessing that's like, that's not the sickness, the illness. It's like the radical sickness, that the illness that you're talking about here. Absolutely. But we're seeing it's actually going to be a waterside point fight coming out as we're seeing the players go through. Nice blink from Scorpion, drops a lot of poke coming through, and Love is very low on HP. Watch out for BOZEY behind, goes in with reversal, tries to find some damage, but BOZEY overextended right there. Shut down. No, still staying alive. NTBees with 2, looking for the 3rd kill. That will be picked up by Strutzul's fire spit. And when it comes down to burst, you just cannot beat out BasicM right now. They stabilize, they hold strong, and they're not going anywhere. 34 seconds left on the push.
Yeah, and again, that was just not a good spot for QAZ to be in the face of a fireball. On that tight little catwalk, all 5 players were there, and the fireball did a lot of damage, resulting in 1, maybe even 2 of those kills. I didn't get to see the full numbers on it, but regardless, that's not a good spot to be going up against that Fernando, and it definitely pays for Fernando there with the team able to get a full team wipe. As we get to just below 10 seconds now, it's going to be tough before this overtime procs for all of QAZ to get there. xiuu sacrificing his life to try to get there for no good reason. Not so sure why you thought that was going to work well for him, and that will be the defense successfully for BasicM, but a little bit of a scare so far.
In a little bit early on the backline was xiuu, and I would agree with you, a bit of a scare. They did get a capture taken away from them, but it's all tied up now. Shift, it's 2-2, and guess what else is level 2? It's BOZEY sitting on Cauterize 2, so 60% anti-heal apply to anybody hit by their weapon shots, as with robotoxin also going into morale boost 2, so expect Hand Hunter up and active very, very often, but notably, just relying on Strutzul to deal with the double frontline shields coming out. Is this enough right now, even though they picked up Record 3?
I think it's something we need to keep our eye on, because with the bonus damage now being amplified to the salvo, you would think plus record, that should be enough to deal with the majority of the shield presence that we're seeing out of QAZ, but it's something that we definitely need to keep our eye on, because with that change, it should provide a little bit of an interesting dynamic as far as how that salvo could possibly be used, and I kind of like this the commitment to getting everybody else on cauterized, because you have to deal with them in some fashion. You can't just go all record or all cauterized. You need to deal with the shields, you need to deal with the heals, and this is the way they do it right now.
Well, you know what else is going to come through it? Strutzul with the Dragon Punch looking for in the backline. Makoa, they find them. Love being pressured out by 3, and that's the focus we're waiting for. Ice Storm on the objective as BOZEY cleans up Freddy as well, and that's a very, very quick team wipe for BasicM, who appear to have found their stride at last.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is exactly right. BasicM starting to look more like themselves now that all of their abilities and items are coming back online, and you can see that the team focus and that stratagem in itself is definitely paying off. And again, another turtle shield spell right into the fray of things. I'm going to have to force Ancient Rage up, a dome shield on the backside of that as well. Immortal being procced to try to cancel all that out. Robotoxin falling low and will be dropped, but still, BasicM is still in a good spot here as the Eevee is going off on the backside of things, able to secure a number of kills too, but it's still a battle on top of the point as it's just up to NTBees to kind of keep things alive with the support from Muminn, or sorry, strutzul on top of Muminn, and that seems to be going well for them so far.
Those fire spits doing a lot of work. Out one comes, the turrets reducing their HP. Freddy sitting behind barricade, but watch out, here comes King Bomb. But it's used on the low ground, trying to find NTBees around the back, does get the stun, but Muminn at 0 HP is taken out by a nice round the corner fire spit. NTBees contesting again as BOZEY takes down xiuu, and this is very much back in BasicM's favor with an AoE fire spits just dropping so much damage on the backline, but in comes Love. Watch out for this Cassie player. You gotta take him out before they take you out. Round the corner, they find NTBees, no more frontline to contest, and the fire spit will come through, but is it enough? In goes Love. 1 kill, 2 kill, no! Dragon Punch used just to take them out because they apply so much pressure, but back on the objective, does xiuu have the frontline presence to hold versus 3 damage dealers? I don't think so. Double kill for robotoxin, and that's the objective going the way of BasicM.
And strutzul should be counting his stars right there that he was able to get all the way to the Cassie, who almost pulled off a 1-on-3 as both strutzul as well as I think it was also BOZEY, who was falling super low in health. And fortunately enough, they were able to secure that kill just before they're actually able to get wiped out by, the pin-pricking arrows of that Cassie. BasicM now in control and looking to finalize this game and hopefully take this at 4-2 as Love very low, able to fall to the Flame Lance of NTBees' Flame Lance.
It's the burning, crippling damage coming through out there. But you know what else is crippling? It's Eevee's Ice Storm onto Barik. And actually, Barik back straight back up into it. BOZEY has the advantage, but actually has their back to them. So Barik, Freddy gets away scot-free right there. Bit of a misplay, bit of a miss, or lack of coordination coming through for the blue team of BasicM. In goes the Scorpion again, looking for damage on the Muminn, but they're quickly eliminated. Only 2 sticky bombs required for the kill on 2. The Eevee from Bomb King, and a quick follow-up onto BOZEY as well. Muminn, you're overextending a little bit there, though. Watch out for NTBees, but still, back on the objective. 5 versus 1. Fernando cannot survive versus all of that pressure, and the shield will only last for a short amount of time as NTBees has nowhere to run.
He actually almost got saved by that Poppy Bomb there, almost pushed him out of the range of that cannonade there from xiuu, although he's able to find that last-ditch shot right there. So QAZ now retaking control of this payload here, and again, with all those deployables coming up, this should be a successful, or at least a successful for the moment, stabilization of this push, if not the complete control of the defense. BasicM is going to have a really hard time breaking this at this current point where the payload is.
And honestly, I think at this point we can start discussing this. This is a nest going on right here. You know it from maybe Team Fortress 2. You have Sentry Nest. Well, this is a deployable nest. It's a turret nest. It's a Ying Illusion nest coming through, and you gotta have the big blast damage to get through, and that comes from the Scorpion and NTBees and strutzul as well. But no, Freddy shuts them down, staying alive behind the scenes. But if they're zoned out for long enough, then this could be an easy conversion. But no, NTBees off the map. Triple kill for Muminn right there, and it's looking good on defense with only 20 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and Muminn just had 2 really good duels, getting some clutch sticky bombs mid-air. First of all, on BOZEY, who was in a cursed arm, and second of all, going to be on top of the Eevee, who was blinking in and out and was able to secure the kill there. Great sustaining play from Muminn, keeping his team in this. That would have been a very different situation if those 3 characters would still be on the board.
Speaking of, though, on the front line is NTBees respawning once again. BOZEY and strutzul clean up, and now strutzul gets revenge on Muminn. Despite the Grumpy Bomb stun hitting Bees, it's up to the respawns to come through. You can see that Freddy out on the backline is taken down with a Scorpion. In comes Preyas and Ying. Dimensional Link using close proximity. Down goes the Ice Storm, and this could be the win, but at the last second, Ancient Rage, no, shut down with the Dragon Punch, and that will be game 1 to BasicM.
Watch Dragon Punch right there, right at the end, as Ancient Rage was probably going to disperse most of BasicM away from that payload, and Just not giving a chance of that is strutzul saying, no thanks, man. We're just going to take this game here and get out of the woods here, as they were, again, a couple situations on those neutral capture points were a little scary there for BasicM. They could have seen that possibly go 3-1 in not their favor, but they were able to come through when it mattered most. But still, a little bit of stutter step in here from BasicM, and I'm not exactly sure how to interpret it as far as where they actually stand against this surging QAZ team.
The stylish draft maybe a little bit more uncomfortable than they thought,
Yeah,
but
for
still
sure.
coming out with a win, as we will hopefully see the scoreboard pop up on the screens. Let's do our post-match breakdown, and one thing is clear. We talked about Love carrying. 37 and 16, they certainly were, but let's talk about strutzul, because my god, those fire spits, so much damage that game, really punishing the nests around the objective from all of the deployables, and what primarily helped bring the game to a close with a final Dragon Punch.
Yeah, and that was the final secure for sure. But on top of that, if you're letting QAZ taking a look back at this game, there were just too many moments where BOZEY and strutzul went unchecked from either the sidelines of fights or just in the air, where they were able to put down a lot of free damage, which results in those astronomical numbers, 82.9 for BOZEY, as well as the 120k plus for strutzul. That's a lot of damage, especially when you consider that on the backside of things, Scorpion did a really good job finding damage and kills as that Eevee. Even though she was outmatched a couple of different moments, the sustained damage and that presence in the back line was what resulted in QAZ's little bit of franticness as those points were starting to get pushed to the higher 90 percentages and the payload getting within the last 10 feet of conversion. Those are things that as a team they need to look at if they want to get better.
They certainly do, but it is their map pick of choice coming up next shift. We are moving over to Frozen Guard. Ice Mines having been banned out, which QAZ have been favoriting so far, but Frozen Guard, still a similar style. We're going to see a very tight-knit objective fight, but a lot more open space around this objective, and I've got a question for you. We saw Kinessa come out on Serpent Beach. Do you think we'll see him again on Frozen Guard?
I have a hard time justifying it. You know, I think that there was some kind of a predetermined mindset going into Serpent Beach there for BasicM, and picking an all kind of, I won't say an all aggression type team comp, because the Kinessa doesn't really apply to that, but trying to go for this all damage based team comp, I don't think we're going to see that on a map pick that's not theirs, where they might not have it preset and ready to go. That
You
being
would
said,
assume so.
anything can surprise us.
No, it's certainly something. Well, I didn't expect the no healer comp. I didn't expect the Scorpion to be playing Ying, but they still got 38 eliminations and 15 deaths, playing up magnificently. Although very vulnerable, a few missed wormholes there, and often blinking from a location, which could then be camped by either Muminn or Bomb King or Love on Cassie, so potentially a little bit more vulnerable. But we have the map drafts coming through so far. It is QAZ with the first pick this time shift on the champion picks. They go with Fernando. No surprises.
No surprises. It's just, you have to. I mean, he's the best tank in the game, period. You just have to do it. We've seen not only the sustainability that comes out of having the shield plus the immortal, but at the same point, Fernando is so good at splitting a team in half, and we've seen so many instances where that bodes true. And that has to be a mindset as far as QAZ, as far as being a successful aspect to your game style, is being able to keep BasicM from staying together. That has to be a focus. Otherwise, the 5-man power that BasicM gets that snowball start to roll, they end up becoming absolutely difficult to deal with. And if Fernando can get in the middle and split that team apart between frontline and backline, you might start to see things open up as far as opportunity for QAZ, especially for MefedronoweLov, who's been doing so good at finding individual isolated moments where you can essentially solo queue it and go in and do a lot of damage and find a lot of kills. If you can find that advantage, I think QAZ has a better shot at getting back into this game and not letting BasicM roll away with this.
You would assume so, but how well do you think they're going to do without their Cassie as BasicM counter with Cassie and Drogoz as picks, securing that away from Love, who did a lot of work in the previous game, and getting strutzul their all-important Drogoz?
Well, we've also seen at the same point that Love is definitely still able to play Adroxus at a high level, and that seems to be what they're going to have to go for here as Adroxus is picked up. But again, having Cassie plus Drogoz, you have some of the biggest damage dealing direct targets as well as area of effect targets from both of those characters respectively. So that's strong to have on your side as far as being able to split the focus of, do we take Blast Shields, do we take Haven? That makes a conversation happen, and it's not going to allow a team for QAZ to focus on one thing in particular. They might start thinking about this as individuals, and then at that that point, Drogos and Cassie can start to find those targets which do not have themselves covered based on their projectiles, and hopefully over-embellish that case and go for those damage-dealing kills with the burst damage that both those characters can provide.
But as the rest of the picks do come through, we're waiting on the final one from BasicM. Without giving anything away, let's finish off QAZ's lineup. They start with Fernando, go into a Ying, Androxus, Bomb King, and, surprisingly, Buck. But Frozen Guard, a lot of open map space. Whilst Buck has a mobility to get around very quickly around the outside of the Igloo, there is the concern, potentially, that they can be picked off from range, as obviously they don't have a shield available to them. As soon as they step out into the long lines of sight, they could be prioritized by Cassie. Who knows if we'll see the Kinessa again? What are you feeling here, Shift?
I mean, the big thing to go along with this Buck is, yes, there are plenty of opportunities in open areas where Buck can be successful, but the thing is, to get to those open areas, you have to go through tight, enclosed, very low height choke points. So Buck can actually struggle there if his team is not able to get that open space available to him to maneuver. That being said, BasicM is going to counter this play with the Meldamba to finish things off. So again, not really having the greatest as far as, we're not seeing a double, kind of, we often see Meldamba and Pip be put together trying to help sustain their not only crowd control, but also the heals as well. This is interesting because having the Makoa with the Meldamba is very strange to see. We don't normally see Makoa and Barrack getting paired up with the Meldamba, but again, that Gourd should do some significant healing. And then on top of that, if your Cassie and your Drogos do need support from distance, the Mending Spirits will allow that healing to come through from a distance as well. So I like it. I think it'll help break things apart as far as the Dread Serpent as well. But that being said, I think Buck has some targets to go in on here if he finds the right opportunities.
I'm really looking forward, and you said it already, the utilization of Dread Serpent here could be the game changer, could be what we're looking for in order for BasicM to come out on top in this situation. They can counter completely any aggression coming out from Buck with it. It is a waste to use it on just one, but if you apply that 20% damage bonus to the player hit by Dread Serpent, Buck will be gone in an instant from Cassie and Drogos. With that in mind as well, you got to remember that you're playing Buck into a Makoa, and since Makoa was drafted early in the lineup, Buck being the final pick or one of the two final picks for QAZ, I've got to ask, that's not a champion draft that we normally like seeing. Makoa, one of the best counters to Buck in game currently.
Yeah, especially if you can land really clutch hooks after the heroic leap has been utilized, it will result in the opportunity to burst down this Buck with that bonus damage immediately following a hook from Makoa. Then you pair that up again with a potential double stun from Meldamba, and then Cassie and Drogos' burst on top of that. It should result in a pretty meltable Buck right there, as he's getting into the kitchen, pretty much full-on force into the oven there. So this should be interesting to see. I think a lot of this, there is the flexibility. If Makoa does miss hooks, the Barrack is still there to sustain. Meldamba is there to help get maybe possibly a stun every now and again. But the big key here is the stun lock that could come out here from both Makoa and Meldamba as they pull and stun with the combination of both a Spitfire, a Cassie, and as well as obviously the Barrack bonus damage from the blunderbuss that comes alongside of his turret.
You're getting in so many references to cooking right now, so many references to eating.
Hungry.
No, me too. And you know what? It's only going to get worse. We got Fernando's grill going on one side, and counter to that, we have BasicM with it's the Barrack and the Makoa. It's the Barrack oven coming through. I can't wait to see how it turns up, although hopefully they won't be serving any snake. Not sure I'd be too partial for that, but we're about to get into our spectator delay. So whilst our 3-minute timer ticks down, let us know in the chat who you think is going to come out on top. This is QAZ's map pick. They obviously have a pocket strategy for it, and they have the opportunity for a comeback. And please do remember, this being the grand finals is a best of 5 set. Perhaps here is the turnaround for QAZ as they potentially push us at least all the way to 4 games. Welcome back, champions, into game number 2 of our grand final set between BasicM and QAZWSX. This is QAZ's map pick, and it will be Frozen Guard, and they are now fighting out of the blue corner, the left-hand side of your scoreboard, led by Love on Androxus. We've said this before, but you can take away their Cassie. It just isn't enough. But xiuu follows up with Fernando, Muminn on Bomb King, Preyas on Ying, and Freddy closes things out with the wild card Buck pick.
And on the flip side, the reigning champions and the dominating side for BasicM, NTBees will be on the Makoa, strutzul once again continuing on the Drogos, BOZEY on Barrack, TheScorpYoN on Meldamba, and robotoxin playing the Cassie.
This is a disgusting combination.
Yeah, it
Robotoxin
is.
rivals Love on Cassie. They are just unstoppable, but initial point fight going up on the right-hand side. You can see the dredge anchor from Bees comes through. It pulls in xiuu, who takes a lot of fire, and the massive fire spits rain through. There's the grumpy bomb on the objective as well, around to the side. It stuns out nobody. First blood goes to Love as they do nether step into the backline, but they're very low. They're forced into reversal. They heal up very slightly, but BOZEY should get the shutdown. No! Preyas takes them out. Love gets out alive, and all of a sudden it's advantage to QAZ. What a fantastic turn of events. Unparalleled aggression met with unparalleled aggression, and in goes Freddy, looking for the damage on the strutzul, forcing them away, and the objective hold will be good from QAZ, but here comes Bees.
Oh my goodness. I thought for sure after that Spitfire that it was going to be all basic M. They displaced so much of QAZ, but they were able to come back together, and Muminn actually poppy bombed a number of people back away, so displacement versus displacement resulted in QAZ taking that first initial advantage, but still, Robotoxin and NTBees able to clean up 4 of the 5 kills just on their own, and that's going to even things back out, and after all that craziness, we might be able to get back to normal here, Vox.
That was Bees getting breezy with the triple kill on the end right there, demonstrating why you've got to respect Makoa, now just meditating on the objective. It's a pretty relaxed stream, but you know what's not relaxed? It will be strutzul going with the Dragon Punch, looking to find the Fernando around the backside. They can't find anybody. They get Bomb King in the end, but immediately they're in a low enclosed space, taking a lot of damage and are shut down by Love. Love in the backside, though, is eliminated by the Scorpion. They are out of their depth, and still the carries for BasicM are alive and strong. Freddy tries to go in. They take out the Scorpion, but are punished for it by Robotoxin as NTBees cleans up Preyas. That will be overtime ticking down, and the capture rolling through for the red team this time.
Yeah, and even though the Dragon Punch only found the Bomb King, at the same point, think about what is taken off the board when Bomb King's not there. No more displacement for your team, and that allows you to sit and focus a lot easier on what's happening to you, and all of that came down to Buck getting into the back line, and he was able to be turned on and focused down by that BasicM squad. So even though it wasn't the most high-value target, it still provided a lot of equity in getting that kill off, and that actually resulted in the team control of that last point, as now the payload will coast its way underneath this underpass here and look for potential conversion.
That was savage right there. You know, NTBees pulling in a Bomb King into a low down enclosure. They try and pop him away. Everybody goes up, everybody comes back down, and nobody has moved a diddly squat inch. Freddy is actually going to be nether stepping through. No, not stepping, excuse me. Heroic leaping through. Robotoxin does get the shutdown, but nether steps wide. We are seeing Love on the backside, just playing defensively. They're going to have to kill the turrets here, but they're being forced back by BOZEY on Barrack, and they can't gain any ground. In comes Bees. The dredge anchor does miss. But still, the push continues, and it's back to base for 2 players right now as they must regenerate in the safety of their healing fountain.
Yeah, and it's going to be NTBees here actually popping the Ancient Rage to try to get the control over this and go up 2-0, but not able to find too many targets was the Ancient Rage. And now, again, to try to combo this, BOZEY is going to put down the Dome Shield to try to zone things out, but xiuu is able to stay in for a vast majority of that, and now the recommit here by the Squishies are going to have to be there to defend, but still both frontliners are up for the side of BasicM. NTBees finding a double with the support of BOZEY at the end will result in that 2-0 favor for BasicM. This is looking a lot more like what we normally would expect from those guys.
That was a cannon sniper right at the end there. That's a difficult shot to make regardless of who you are due to the drop off vertically, due to the gravity on those cannonballs. They weigh a lot, but you know what else weighs a lot, Shift?
You're going to tell me, I hope.
I'm going to tell you indeed. It's NTB /line sitting at 6-0-5 right now. The mighty Makoa on an 11 streak of eliminations are looking pretty unstoppable. Maybe we're going to see some 360 dredge anchors this time. I didn't see any 360 fireballs previously, but if he feels confident, they might come out. And still, let's look at the ultimates being held here. A lot used by the side of BasicM in the previous engagement, but there's still a Dread Serpent on the board. There's still a Dragon Punch for the second time on board. And all of a sudden, if Fernando doesn't combo Immortal very, very well, it will be devastation and decimation for the blue team. But up goes Muminn into King Bomb Shift. Hey, this can only end one way, and that's in the Scorpion's demise.
Yeah, that's a great focus down, able to find the support, and NTBees falling low as well. They did not expect this, did BasicM. Dragon's Fear will be countered up by the Immortal. What a good trigger there by xiuu, and this is all QAZ so far. If they can find BOZEY and pick him out, they will. This will get up to probably about 70-80% before BasicM even have a chance to get back on top of this point.
BasicM displaying a little bit of a weakness, a little bit of a chink in the armor, as there was no reason that the Scorpion should have been stunned out there. Maldamba's dash slither gives you immunity frames. NTB does push forwards, but it's too late. The objective's been captured. That will be QAZ coming out on top, and they now have 1 point on the board comparatively to the 2 coming out from BasicM already. But BasicM, they're going to look to hold here. Not for much longer, though. The Scorpion goes down to Love, and with Scout being activated, at least BasicM will have the opportunity to see where the flanks are coming from. I don't know if it'll be enough, however, Shift.
I don't think so either, and fortunately enough for QAZ, they were able to realize the Scout was up, and they did not commit to going through those little ice caverns on their perspective right side or through the ski lodge on the left. They just sat and waited for Scout to expire before they made their move, and it actually was going to be Buck going in a little bit too over-aggressively into the back line. There was no support from the front line pressure, so that resulted in a pretty easy focus. The Dread Serpent coming out here with a good hook on xiuu. xiuu getting really low with that 20% damage, but will be able to sprint away with the help of that shield. It might not be enough, though, as it looks like he will be focused down by 2 players, and on the backside of things, Scorpion in the support battle against Preyas will actually win that one as well. So BasicM recontrolling and looking for some aggressive zoning.
Was that ultimate worth it, however? The Scorpion burnt one of their primary crowd control abilities. In fact, one of the best crowd control abilities, second only to Evil Mojo in the game right now. I don't know. We should classify ultimates. I've got to say, the best crowd control ability still goes to NTBees with that Dredge Anchor. I mean, look at the pulls he is failing to get. Okay, NTBees, got to play up when I talk about you here. Poppy Bomb throws one off the map. No, BOZEY able to just get back on in time, but will be chased down, eliminated, and all of a sudden, it will be BasicM on the back foot once again.
Yeah, and that's trouble. Again, this is not a good spot to be put down and to get your back pushed against the wall here if you're BasicM, because all of the force of QAZ is coming straight at this payload. They're able to find a 2-for-1 trade there, and even though Freddy's falling low, it actually puts NTBees in a bad position, but nobody's calling it out. Makoa is out by himself right now. This needs to be a kill, but no one knows he's back here. Where's the communication? NTBees able to get out with his life somehow. I don't know how he was able to survive that for as long as he did, and his team is now here to support a missed opportunity from QAZ, and now they're paying for it.
I've got 2 words for you, Shift, and that is hit, scan, heals. Scorpion on Maldamba coming into play, keeping the team alive from a distance, and that will be the initial push forced back. We're down to the last 15 seconds of payload push, and it will appear that all of QAZ are retreating, electing to not give their opponents any more credits, not give them any more kills, and not give them any more ultimate charge, as it could potentially come down to this next objective fight, a successful defense, as the timer comes to a close, puts BasicM at 3-1.
Man, so unfortunate that they were not able to call out that Makoa, because that would have made things so much different as far as moving that payload. Of course, Makoa would have been back up before the initial the final defense had to happen, but still, opportunity missed, and it resulted in a very devastating situation for QAZ. And now looking at this stat line, score line, it's going to be very difficult for QAZ to get 3 straight points without any wiggle room whatsoever, as BasicM is in solid control with 4 of their 5 ultimates up, and hopefully by the time that this fight actually happens, Maldamba will have that Dread Serpent available relatively quickly.
They're looking pretty nimble right now, BasicM. In fact, they're looking very nimble as they have elected to go into 2 of those utility cards or utility items on the Scorpion and Robotoxin. A little bit questionable, but the Slithery Snake will be pretty speedy whilst we consider all that, and especially if they're running the loadout. I think they might be. They are indeed. Swift Spirits 4, Mending Spirits grants 28% movement speed to allies. If they use that on Robotoxin, they'll be zooming around the map, but in comes the King Bomb again. The Scorpion dodges it with the immunity frames this time and comes out alive. Buck trying to get the slay. Oh no, they're stunned out by the reload right there. The Scorpion with the masterful outplay so far is boxing out a Buck, must slither to safety, has the Gord available in just a couple of seconds, but takes a little bit too much damage. They're still alive. The Dread Serpent coming out does absolutely nothing, but still coming out on top of that trade. Oh my goodness, the 1v1 of this tournament just happened, Shift. I am blown away, and on the backside of all of that, whilst the Buck was distracted, we're seeing BasicM clean up the last remaining players.
How did Scorpion win that fight against a Buck?
Nimble.
As a
Nimble.
Maldamba. It's unbelievable. Like that's
too fast.
Yeah, even still, you can't lose that fight if you're the Buck player, and he did, and that's resulting in the situation we see. Strutzul going to channel up the Dragon's Fury, looking for that punch, but it's going to be circles all the way back and around, and it won't actually be the Dragon Punch getting the kill up with the Spitfire, and Robotoxin, with the help of Scorpion, able to lock down this point, and it looks like it's all BasicM as nobody can commit into that Dome Shield.
Nah, Muminn can't go in. They're going to Poppy Bomb away and just give this game up. And that's demoralizing for QAZ because that was their map pick. But BasicM is showing how strong they really are when they run with a more meta team comp, when they run with something tried and tested and true and get that support online. Fantastic outplays from every single member and a well-deserved win.
Absolutely.
Scoreboard will be coming up shortly, folks. We do appear to be in a bit of an issue, or having a bit of an issue post games where the scoreboard takes a couple of seconds to come up. But as soon as it's available, what do you think the slash lines, the stat lines are going to be like this game shift? Because I'm betting they're pretty one-sided.
Oh, they'd have to be. Eliminations to death-wise alone. I mean, BOZEY, strutzul, and as well, I mean, having robotoxin on Cassie, you can't say enough, and you can see it right there. Nobody higher than 5 deaths for the side of BasicM. And even though it was a relatively low death count for both teams, you can see the eliminations. Everybody just about over 15 for BasicM, while only 2 players hit double digits on the side of QAZ, again showing just how much dominance this team has when they start to work together as a 5-man front. And that's exactly the case as we see again streaks 10, 14, and 12. Oh, it's so big for the side of that trio of robotoxin, BOZEY, and Bees. Just overall great team play, keeping themselves alive and staying in fights longer than they probably should. And that's the keys to success there for BasicM, and all those pros coming through for them. That's just strong play.
You telling me that the keys to success are staying alive here, Shift? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's that's my John Madden casting right there. You know what they're gonna need to do is just get more points to the other team, and they should likely win. So,
well, you hit the nail on the head right there. They did, and they fragged out more than QAZ, and the scorelines represent that. I'm gonna have to go back and clip that 1v1. The Scorpion.
My goodness.
Well done. That was a masterful outplay. Freddy, got to work on that accuracy a little bit. No reason that should happen, but my goodness, the reload stun on heroically midair. I've never seen anything like that. The Scorpions obviously put a ton of practice into Maldamba, and it only gets better from here as the top-level competitive teams start to get more hours in with the brand new champion, or at least the newest champion to the realm. But it is a 5-game, or at least best of 5 set in the grand finals. BasicM, 2 games up so far, looking for the complete sweep. Let's take a look at the map draft. It's coming through from the loser's pick, and it will be, curious, Frog Isle Shift.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this. You're going to take a team that does really well playing together as 5 and put them in a situation where they'll get to play together as 5. So I'm not 100% sure if that's a strong strategy for QAZ, and it's going to be a tough battle for them here. I think BasicM will definitely have an advantage moving into this map simply because, again, their coordination has proved to be superior so far against this QAZ team.
But we do come down to champion drafting. Of course, it's being in real time. We're not going to talk about suggestions or talk about anything that could give away hints, tips, tricks, or tactics to both teams who could be watching the stream. And I know some of them are in chat whilst we are watching this all proceed. But unsurprisingly, I feel like I don't even need to say it. Can we just skip the first pick? Because it's Fernando every game. You get to a certain level in competitive, and it's the self-proclaimed knight. He's getting out there. He's putting his name out there. He's stamping his foot down and saying, this is a hot team. It's like a regular team, but with me in it. I love it.
And again, Fernando, as we've said so often, is just such in a good spot right now. I mean, the percentages of your chance of winning when you have Fernando on your team are just always so much higher, especially when it's between 2 teams that are evenly matched. Not necessarily as it's saying that the individual skill between these 2 teams is at a similar level. They're in the ballpark, but I think one of them's in the bleachers while the others is playing right now. And BasicM with that Fernando, I mean, their chances of winning have to skyrocket just by having him on their team so far.
It's Bees. We know him. He is absolutely unstoppable. He is a bit of a juggernaut on Fernando, falling a few times in the first game. And Bees, please, if you're listening, the 360 fireballs. Come on, we're waiting for them. We're anticipating them. We gotta see it. We want to see the 360 fireballs. Give the audience what they want to see. But conversely, QAZ, they have decided, and this is quite interesting, they've decided that strutzul is enough of a threat on Drogos that they're going to take Drogos away. Despite not having Fernando Drogos on the same team, they're going to elect to go in for Drogos and Cassie. So getting Love, their carry, taking Drogos away from strutzul. So we're seeing counter picks come through now. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with this too, Drogos and Cassie do provide a lot to this map. I mean, The Spitfires are going to be huge, especially when it comes down to the neutral control point. But on top of that, when you get the payload pushing or defending, that's such a tight area. There's so many tight quarters here that Spitfire could be so detrimental to a team staying together. So those are really strong picks. Cassie as well, able to get that direct damage. And again, the burst that comes out, not only from Blast Shot with the Cauterize naturally built into it, but also when you have Love playing Cassie, you're pretty much going to be guaranteed to find a couple kills somewhere on the outside of the fights. So those are two strong picks. If you're basic M, you have to look at that and say, okay, well, that kind of stinks for us. But at the same point, it's not the worst thing in the world. We do have the opportunity of possibly picking up a couple extra frontliners because that has yet to be converted yet for QAZ and could be a weakness as, again, this map could be so centrally focused that it could be tough to break those frontline picks.
Well, let's call a throwback. And I think that at this point, we're not going to be spoiling anything because let's call a bit of a throwback to last weekend, North America,
I know
Frog
where you're
Isle.
going with this.
You
Yep.
know exactly where I'm thinking of. It's the Dons versus Arden. And despite some great defensive play put up by Arden, the Dons draft, can you remember exactly what it was off the top of your head? Because I think I've got it locked down.
The game that I'm actually thinking of,
Oh,
I don't. I want to say I think it might have. I don't know if it was Kungarna or Fabri that ran it, but it
I'm
was
thinking of the Don.
Fernando.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Kangana, not the Dons.
Yeah,
Sorry, the name change is always confusing me.
I think the comp you might be thinking of was when they ran a Fernando Makoa, Ying Meldamba, and Bomb King were the five,
Mm,
and it was double front, double support with just the Bomb King as damage, and it was
no.
executed
I'm thinking of
flawlessly.
a
That's the
different
game
one,
that
but
I'm thinking of.
that's the game you're thinking of. Well, that could still work. The one that I'm thinking of was the steamroll over on Frog Isle,
Oh,
which was triple frontline, Cassie and Grog. You sit on the point, nobody can get you off because it takes a while to get wreckers online. You get the conversion because nobody can get you off because it takes a while to get wreckers online. And all the while, you have Cassie going boop, 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 boop around the outside and just picking off players one by one. You get pulled into that nest of Barrack, Makoa, Fernando, and Grog. You're
yeah.
dying. You can't. There's no other way around it. You get pulled in by a dredge anchor in there. You go into the shields, and your team looks at you and goes, "Oh, well, see you later. See you in like 10 seconds or so." Good grief, that is nasty. Either way, next picks coming through, we're seeing the double front line and Ying from Basic M. So Makoa and Ying picked up as the following two picks, and then conversely countered that shift, Barrack and Androxus. So only one frontliner that is viable currently going to be available to QAZ, and it is only going to be the Barrack who suffers a little bit as a solo frontliner.
Yeah, absolutely does. It's going to be a tough situation, just in general, to kind of get through that. But again, this is such a tough situation as you're looking up against QAZ. They have just the barracks so far, and again, going through Fernando Makoa is no easy task, especially when Ying is around. So I mean, you're going to have to pick up somebody else who can do massive amounts of damage to shields or someone who can just go around the shields and just dive into that backline. That's their two options right now. And my goodness, it's going to be really tough to get through Fernando Makoa, especially when they're at the hands of Basic M's roster. So dangerous.
I do wonder honestly where the Androxus pick comes into play because when you're looking at, as you said, fighting into a Fernando Makoa, well, what are you really getting value from with the Androxus pick? You're going to be banking on somebody that you can pick off on the back line for the remaining two picks for Basic M because
Yeah.
Androxus is just going to suffer otherwise. Ying will be protected. You've got a Dredge Anchor, which is going to pull you out of the air. Your Accursed Arm goes straight into a Dome Shield from the Makoa, and that will mitigate out all of the damage unless that cooldown has been burned. And then you still got to deal with the Immortal on the back side of things. It's a bit of an uphill battle there. And this time we're seeing Basic M go in with a point hold composition so far, but the remaining two picks for them are yet to come.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Adroxus is going to have a hard time depending on what happens here with Basic M. I think they need to find some way to keep that contained five-man, force because they're going to be naturally going into a 5-on-4 essentially. Because again, Adroxus will have a tough time. It could go either way though. I mean, if they do have them going for a couple of squishies here, Androxus could have an opportunity to be essentially unchecked in the back line. But again, it comes down to what happens here. Could go either way.
It certainly does. But for the time being, we are going to cut to a quick break screen whilst we wait for the rest of the drafting to be concluded. Unfortunately, iHoldShift must depart right now. So that was the last game previously that he'll be able to cast. I'll be taking things solo from here on out. So thank you very much, Alan, for joining us today. And we'll see you back again tomorrow. But in the meantime, sit back, relax. And as always, enjoy the music. We'll be getting into the final few drafts of game number 3 in just a couple of minutes. Well, they say all good things must come to a close, and potentially this is where it all ends. My name is Vox, and welcome to the third and potentially final game of the finals set in week 4 of the Paladins Challenger Circuit European side between BasicM and QAZWSX. On the left-hand side, fighting out of the blue corner, it will be BasicM, led by strutzul on Pip, robotoxin on Kinessa, NTBees on Makoa, BOZEY, picking up Fernando, and TheScorpYoN on Ying. Conversely, on the flip side, fighting out of the red corner, the underdogs coming into this tournament, it is Muminn on Drogos from QAZWSX. Love on Cassie, xiuu on Barrack, Preyas on Grot, and Freddy. Rounding things out on Androxus, we're seeing a Kinessa pick come into play. Robotoxin immediately throwing out a press of mines for a little bit of space control onto the objective. No, nowhere near the objective. There we go. Our last is BOZEY on Fernando, picking up the front line. A bit of an unusual play, as he is often on carries or Barrack. If he picks up the front liner at all, we're seeing the objective fight go out. NTBees very low on health, must disengage from the fight and back up. But meanwhile, nobody is pressuring Robotoxin. They're getting off a lot of damage, but still on the objective behind barricade. Safe is xiuu for the time being. The fire spit's coming through. Watch out into the backline. Now comes Freddy. Watch out, Robotoxin. You can't get hit here. You got to keep the jukes up. The transporter is good enough, and forced into reversal now is Freddy. strutzul jumping all around. That will be first blood going to Robotoxin as they outplay the flank with the Geo team, but 2 quick kills answered back onto the flip side. That is QAZ coming out on top until strutzul picks up the double kill. strutzul lands the triple kill as Pip and regains control of the capture, looking for the quadra kill. Muminn in a lot of danger, and that will be the delayed quadra kill coming through. strutzul, the premier Pip in this league, currently coming out on top, regaining capture control for the rest of the team, and the duo support holds strong. Round on the backside, spotted out, is going to be Androxus. Freddy disengaging for the time being. Bees looking for a dredge anchor pull onto xiuu, who places a barricade, but they're taking a lot of focus fire right here. Out goes BOZEY away from the fight, puts up the barricade, going to regenerate, catches a fire spit too, which is a huge play with the shield, and that will be captured going uncontested for the last 50% through to the blue team of BasicM, and now good grief, look at the damage coming out. NTBees with 1 kill, trying to find the second kill. strutzul takes out Preyas, and Love pulled into danger. Barely any HP remaining. They escape momentarily, but strutzul dodges forwards, gets the shutdown play, and now pushes out the front line despite being one of the more interesting supports within the champion lineups here today. We'll see as well as the payload pushes further and further forwards. No real contest come through from either team. Preyas, trying to do what they can to keep their team alive, is backing up away from xiuu right now on Barrack. They need the healing totem down. Ghostwalk activated to reduce the healing totem cooldown with Gale, but in comes a polymorph around the backside. There's 2 players down already with the polymorph. xiuu picked up, Preyas evaporated, and that is a massive play coming out of strutzul, which will stagger the enemy lines up. That will be strutzul in a lot of trouble, but still staying alive. Fire spit might clean them up. No, the rocket is missed, and BOZEY cleans up 2 right there in the end for a double kill. Freddy finally taking out the Scorpion on the objective, but dredged to their doom. Triple kill for BOZEY. The contest here at the last minute, but how much longer will it last for us? strutzul goes up and down and all around. The barricade is crumbling. That's xiuu down to BOZEY for the delayed quadra kill, and Bees cleans up the 5th and final conversion rolls through. 2 points up currently for BasicM, and they look devastating despite this not being their map pick, and they are just steamrolling through any kind of resistance which is being put up by QAZWSX. As we take a look at the scoreboard, we're seeing the itemization come out on surprisingly double veteran for the 2 frontliners, despite there being 2 supports available to back them up, as they want that healing on the Kinessa so Kinessa can start fragging. But you know what? Kinessa is not the star of the show right now. It all comes down to strutzul. 7-0 and 9 on Pip, already picking up a delayed quadra kill, a fantastic evil mojo, and staying alive whilst doing so. There's nobody left to frag after they get into the fight, and as we join towards the next objective, you can see they're picking up morale boosts as well. A couple of wreckers on the other side from Love and Muminn just aren't enough to deal with this, and the cauterizers are going to be coming out too late. Master Riding will get xiuu on Barrack to the objective in plenty of time, but actually they've taken a very defensive position. They're not on the objective just yet, and finally we're going to see players start to approach that objective point up in the air. Watch out for Freddy. They have the curse down. They find 1 shot onto Robotoxin with the elimination, but under the dome shield, everybody is safe. 3,000 damage straight into the shield. Love comes around on the backside. Can they pick up the kill? NTBees, you got to find the dredge anchor. Misses it, whiffs it. Love out to safety for the time being, but strutzul still alive. Onto the objective now goes the double front line. Out comes the dome shield, but out comes all of that mitigation coming through. Dragon Punch connects. No, onto an illusion in the backline. Fantastic play coming out from BasicM, and Muminn's Dragon Punch is completely, well, is destroyed. Strutzul finally goes down for the first time this game to Love, however, and that will be capture rolling through for QAZ this time, as once they got entrenched, they did not get back off again. Robotoxin able to answer back with a kill into one, but it's not quite enough, and Love on the backside is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Dodge roll is available, gotta watch out for that cannon fire, and now running for their life is the Cassie player, the Cassie Supreme on the side of QAZ. Dredge Anchor misses once again, and this time it's Freddy coming to the rescue. Love gets out with a sliver of HP and lives to frag another day. Meanwhile, the payload pushing further forwards. The frontline Barrack actually doing a great job of pushing this one out. Strutzul in a lot of trouble, is taken out by Love for the second time this game, 2 deaths to them so far. And the Scorpion forces Dimensional Link to safety. They're being tricky, but not quite tricky enough. They will get to safety, but there is nobody left contesting the payload. And BOZEY, left alone on the front line, is so low on HP, only just managing to heal up alongside NTBees, trying to push this one out. And both players in a great deal of trouble. Scorpion picks one for the stabilization play, but BOZEY will have to force out the front line again. Disengaged by Love. It's a good look for the red team as they try and force this one down, but what's this on the backside? It's Strutzul coming in to start fragging. They gotta be careful here. They can be boxed out by the Barrack with a healing station. We don't have the weightless available. Yes, we do. Up in the air, Strutzul gets out of dodge for the time being, and we are seeing the objective stall come through from BasicM as they finally manage to stabilize, and they finally manage to stall out for the time being. They need to set up a bastion of defense here. They need to set up the buttresses, and they need to support the walls to stop anybody from QAZ pushing through. And a great addition to those walls is, of course, a robotoxin on the sniper, on the Kinessa, looking to find long-distance poke damage as BOZEY picks up a great double kill and still manages to get out of that fight, tries to find the triple kill, will not get it. That goes to NTBees, but my god, Fernando getting away with murder right here, and that may as well have been a 360 fireball with what they are able to pull out the bag, blocking the fire spits, and now the rest of BasicM pushing out aggressively to zone. We have 34 seconds left in the payload clock. There is backdoor potential coming through right now. BasicM, they're very far away from their objective, but nobody is going towards it. BOZEY still alive. Fantastic pulls from NTBees. Pulls Preyas straight into danger. Fire spit is huge on the 5, but it's not quite enough to stop the bleeding here. There's just too much coming through. The dressings do not soak up enough. They do not staunch the blood flow, and all of a sudden, QAZ, looking so strong in the capture, are very much on the back foot. xiuu again pulled into danger. Barricade goes up, but xiuu should likely go down here. Round on the backside. What's this? Freddy going for the backdoor play, has been spotted out. In comes Strutzul, in comes TheScorpYoN. It will be an overtime coming through, but Robotoxin with the headhunter shuts down one. Should get the second slay onto Freddy as they try and get out of the area. Robotoxin with a double kill locks it down. Maybe the triple kill. No, Strutzul plucking xiuu out of the fight. And overtime ticks down to completion. Successful defense, and 3-1 is the scoreline for BasicM. That's our rampage coming through from Robotoxin, says the announcer. And as we take a look at the scoreboard once again, you can see the streaks stacking up for BasicM. 7, 8, 4, and 7 for Strutzul, Robotoxin, NTBees, and BOZEY. Not sitting on a streak as they were eliminated right at the end, but quite happy to take the fall if their team comes out strong. As we take a look at the itemization coming out for both teams and the ultimate charges, we do see that there is an advantage granted to the side of QAZWSX, and they took the last objective cap. But will they get zoned out this time if they manage to combo their ultimates? And if they don't Dragon Punch straight into a Ying illusion, they have the opportunity, but you gotta be careful about that. And one thing's for sure, xiuu and Preyas have got to stop being picked at the beginning of the fight by the Dredge Anchor, otherwise there is no hope left for this team. So on to the objective. It's the Frog Isle. It's potentially the final capture that could end the entire tournament and the entire circuit for BasicM if it comes out on top. But Freddy up into the backline activates a Cursed Arm, 2 shots on Robotoxin shut down already. The Dome Shield comes out, but 1 shot onto Strutzul still applies some damage, force out the healing potion, but Muminn, pulled into danger, is overextended. No Dredge Anchor available. Freddy is safe and reversible. Oh my god, a 4-man polymorph! Are you kidding me? That's far too much to deal with, but they all get out of it. Nobody dies to the polymorph. No fireball available from Fernando to roast those chickens, and somehow everybody gets out alive. The disengage is good. The follow-up was not there from BasicM, and that could be the opportunity for back on the objective. xiuu going, places the barricade, places the shield, places down the dome shield as well, but it's just not enough. The Tempest, too late to keep them alive as NTBees in ancient range picks up a double kill, tries to find the triple kill. NTBees with the triple kill, Dragon Punch, but he cancelled out completely and will not find anybody through that immortal. Straight down goes Muminn as they are shut down and taken out of the air by Robotoxin. And as this game comes to a close, will we see Barrack back onto the objective in time? We will not. That's a wrap, folks. BasicM, they take the game, they take the set, they take the tournament, and 400 points on the standings. They are definitely going all the way through to the gauntlet. Once again, apologies for the delay. In pulling up the scoreboard screen, there seems to be a delay attached to the back end of the game after spectator mode, but we'll be through that very shortly, I'm sure. And here we go. You can see all of the best in slot champions coming through, but let's talk about the scoreboard available on screen now for all of you players at home. And look at that, BasicM just showing up. A cumulative total of 4 deaths. Excuse me, that's not cumulative. A total of 4 deaths, being the highest total for the highest amount of deaths for every single player on BasicM. Robotoxin and BOZEY sitting at 8 combined, adding in NTBees for 11. We're up to 13. It's 15 deaths overall for our cumulative total. There we go for BasicM. And everybody on their team got at least 15 eliminations. It's just utter devastation. My goodness, BasicM, you deserve that gauntlet spot, and at this rate, they might even upset some of the Champions Circuit teams. And speaking of which, whilst we do draw this all to a close, let's take a look at the final standings before we do throw you over to the Champions Circuit going on for the European region right now. And as you can see, brackets available on screen. Let's take a look at the standings. Sitting in 4th is Vex this week, being beaten out 2-0 by ABCD Esports. ABCD Esports taking the bronze place prize, cementing their place as the 3rd slot team and getting a piece of that cash prize money. QAZWSX still in 2nd after all of that, and BasicM, the final victors, come out on top as your #1 Challenger Circuit team in Europe, completely uncontested, victories the entire way through, and my goodness, they deserve that. All of their players played lights out, a few misplays which they can work on, definitely improving, and definitely some things where they could have maybe thrown a little less. Maybe they would go with the less stylish compositions, but they still went with the strange comps, and they still ended up winning out their games regardless of it. Just testament to the skill of all of these individuals, and definitely player names which you're going to want to remember as we head into the gauntlet next week. As we cut back finally for one last time with the European Challenger Circuit to the cameras. Thank you all so much for joining us on our 4-week journey. It's been quite an experience. We've had 6 weeks overall of competition, including the qualifiers. And so many teams have come out to play in ways which I never imagined. We've had so many new signups during the course of this tournament, although they dropped off at the end, likely due to teams recognizing that there was no way for them to get into the gauntlet. The veteran teams have still been sticking it out and have put up a very good fight right until the end. And I don't want to say we salute you because that's a little bit cheesy, but thank you all so much for turning up. You have made this gauntlet run, this circuit, absolutely incredible. A big thank you to everybody in the audience as well who has turned in and tuned in and turned up to all of our broadcasts on twitch.tv/PaladinsWorld. It's been a fantastic time broadcasting all of these, and we can't wait to show you what's coming in future months of Paladins competitive experience. For the time being, though, a big shout out to Dave and Kenneth behind the scenes. They are Onlylight and Phasian. They are your Paladins World founders and admins that make this thing tick, adminning the tournament, running broadcasts, just the two of them together. And of course, a huge thank you to iHoldShift for joining me on this little adventure. But as far as things go for the final week of Challenger Circuit competition, it's not over yet. We'll be back tomorrow with the final 4th week of the North American Challenger Circuit. It's going to be great. It's going to be going on at 11 a.m. EDT, which is 5 p.m. CEST for all of those of you in Europe. And once again, that's for the North American side of things, where there's a lot of upset potential, and the #1 seed is certainly up for grabs. We'll see you back again tomorrow on twitch.tv/PaladinsWorld, where the only question we ask is, are you up to the challenge?